Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. So this past Saturday saw the Man of Steel live fan event on yahoomovies.com. We have a link to it on the Superman homepage, probably about page 2 or 3. If you're checking out the news, there's been lots of news about Superman related stuff, so you can check that out. Or you can also just go right to Yahoo Movies, and I think it's still playing there. Right after it played, it started right at noon on the dot. Kevin Smith was hosting. Zack Snyder was there live. Amy Adams was there. I'm not sure where exactly they were filming, but they were in a nice little studio set up to look like an apartment or something. And Henry Cavill was also on, but he was on live via satellite, and everybody mainly Kevin Smith, kept saying how uncomfortable it was because he just had to have him sitting there waiting until they were ready to go to him, and he wished that he could have been there live in the studio. But Henry Cavill was in London celebrating Remembrance Day and whatever else he might have been doing there. I know he's working on Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I don't think they're filming there. And what I find interesting about, of course, Henry Cavill's position right now is it does seem like he's getting some work. You know, Brandon Routh seemed to have some difficulty after playing the Man of Steel, and of course, the movie Superman Returns wasn't really, received with a lot of fanfare. There was a lot of complaints about it. There's been a lot of complaints about Man of Steel as well, but it made a lot of money at the box office. It's currently number 1, I think, on the downloads charts for movies. Since it's come out, it shot up in maybe iTunes or something like that, where you buy movies. But it's doing really well. It did really well. It's kind of being celebrated as a great movie in some areas, and some people are saying it's not such a great movie. You get that whole destruction thing and too much explosions, too much action. But here's the thing with Man of Steel, for me, and the reason that I think I said that it was the best superhero movie I've ever seen, and that is that it's a real serious take on what it might be like if Superman came to Metropolis or Earth, and if Superman was here when some other Kryptonians came and wanted to kill him and take over the world. There is going to be a lot of damage. There is going to be a lot of destruction. It's not like Superman could stop the whole squad of them without fighting them. Maybe in other stories, maybe in other movies, in the Donner movies, they had that MacGuffin where he could lose his powers because his mom said, "Oh, you want to live as immortal, with immortal, you must be immortal." But not anything that's ever really been in the canon, not anything that's from comics, something they made up because they wanted to have a way that he could defeat these other superpowered beings. Because generally, if you have a whole squad or even 3 Kryptonians that are just as powerful as you are and you're all invulnerable, how could you ever stop them? You couldn't. They would take over the world and destroy it. So in the Lester completed Donner film, Superman 2, they had to have that chamber that he could go into and therefore remove his powers, and it was setting us up. It was foreshadowing to what he would do with the Kryptonians when the time came. And what he did then, of course, was switch it around, which how is that even possible? But okay. And he had Lex Luthor trick them into not going in there and sending Superman in, so Superman was safe in there while they were exposed to the light that took their powers away. Now that was a way to handle it, and I guess I could see, maybe him having a Phantom Zone projector, or them kind of going into it a little further, and even after the Phantom Zone closed, in conjunction with the World Engine and the scout ship or whatever, then maybe he had something else. But again, that would be another MacGuffin. That would be another magical plot device that they could use to suddenly make it easy. And once the Phantom Zone was closed in the movie, there was no other way to there was no other way for either Zod to subdue Superman or Superman to subdue Zod unless it came to killing. And we all know we don't want Superman to kill, and of course that goes back to the comics code, and they just decided DC comic characters weren't going to kill. And in this case, I think the writers wrote Superman into a situation where he had to do what he did in order not only to save those people that were in immediate danger, but to stop this from going on. So to everyone who keeps complaining that there was so much destruction and Superman should have done something about it, he did do something about it. He fought Zod to a standstill, and in the end had to snap his neck, which is sad to have to say, maybe, that Superman had to do that. And you could see that it saddened him and it anguished him, and it wasn't something that he wanted to do. Anyway, this was supposed to be about the live fan event. I just wanted to tell Kevin Smith I too can wear a jersey of Superman and host a show. So call me if you ever need any hosting help. I also like mine because it's actually a Superman one and not an Islanders jersey that I stuck a plate on. He says that they actually gave that to him from the production of Man of Steel and that he then put it on there after that, but who knows? On his own podcast this week called Hollywood Babble, Kevin Smith indicated that he had seen images of Ben Affleck as Batman in the Batman suit, and that the suit made him so happy that he bear hugged Snyder right away. He also mentioned that, since the X-Men movies and Matrix, everybody wanted to go all black and Matrix-y, and that's not what this is. So what that makes me think is that maybe we're finally getting the gray and black or gray and blue Batman costume that I've wanted since they started making Batman movies. And I also hope they do the whited out eyes where you can't see, a demon's not very scary if you can see his human eyes looking sad underneath. So the white eyes, the glazed over white eyes, the filter, or even glowing would be good, better than seeing his human eyes underneath. And maybe that's a problem for actors. Maybe they want their eyes to be seen, but it works for Spider-Man, and I love those Spider-Man costumes, so I think that the white eyes would be a good thing. In the live event, everybody was kind of speculating that there would be some huge giveaway about the new movie, and there really wasn't, so if you're watching it for that, don't even bother. But it was good to watch. It was a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. It was a lot of how did you get into your characters for Amy Adams, for Henry Cavill. It was a lot of how did you do this movie for Snyder. There's a lot of good stuff there. The only thing they really did mention about the new movie is toward the end of the interview, Snyder said, we are going to have some conflicts between Batman and Superman. It only makes sense, right? Because they're two different characters and they have two different ways of going about crime fighting, this kind of thing. And what he said was, so there's going to be a lot of personality conflict, and we will also have some physical conflicts as well. Uh-oh. I'm not sure exactly how that will play out. I mean, a physical conflict between Batman and Superman should be like, hey, I'm Batman. Ow! I'm Superman and you're down. End. So maybe it'll be something like that. Maybe they'll try and use the thing from the Superman-Batman animated movie from the Superman-Batman series back in the 90s when, Superman went to grab Batman and he did some sort of flip and actually took Superman down, which I didn't even like then, but the idea is Batman's trained and Superman isn't. But if you can't move a man because he's so strong, how could you flip him? But I guess he used his own momentum against him or whatever. They could do something like that, but I mean, in the end, if Batman wanted to take out Superman, it really couldn't be done. Even with kryptonite, I always say, any person with any rudimentary intelligence could know to avoid a rock that's glowing that kills you. And once it starts to make you weak and you have super speed, just move out of the way. So there are many different ways that they can do battling with Batman and Superman, but, on DC's All Access, the latest one this week, Zack Snyder and Kevin Smith were talking about it again, and Zack Smith made it clear once again that they are not they're not actually adapting Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Rises, but I guess they are, The Dark Knight Returns, but I guess they are using some inspiration from that, from, I guess, some of their personality and some of what's going on. And of course, we have some more, and we'll continue to have more as the movie goes on until we get told officially. Casting rumors. We don't even know yet if Lex Luthor is in the movie. Seems to make sense that he could be. I know a guy who did a Lex Luthor audition/video not too long ago, where in my mind he did it the way I would like to see Lex Luthor introduced in the movie, as a multimillionaire businessman who kind of is trying to play the crowd with charm and intelligence and wit and ideas and xenophobia, and maybe turn them, whoever might be kind of leaning one way a little bit, turn them against Superman. You're always going to have the people who are Superman, 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 and you're always going to have the people who are like, I don't know about Superman. Then you're going to have people who are like, I don't like aliens in this town. And of course, Luthor is trying to play to the middle ones and to the end ones, the ones that don't like aliens at all and that are afraid, and of course the ones who just aren't sure. And, I would put that guy's name into the hat, hint, hint, if anybody's listening, Zack Snyder or anyone else. But the latest two, I guess, from the old... here's a semi-famous bald guy that should probably be playing Lex Luthor, Terry O'Quinn from the series Lost. He played a good guy who kind of went to being a bad guy because he got infected with some kind of evil. I'm sure he could do it. He's a little older for the role. I like to see a Lex Luthor who's maybe a few years older than Superman, or about the same age as Clark, but Terry O'Quinn's probably 30 years older than Henry Cavill, which is still okay if you're going for the older businessman Lex. I like the younger one, the one who's a self-made guy who maybe killed his parents, maybe didn't, in order to get his businesses started. And the other rumor is one of Zack Snyder's old pals from the Watchmen movies, Jackie Earle Haley, who played Rorschach, is supposedly rumored now to be playing. Again, someone also shouted at me, Tom Hanks, not too long ago, that he was also rumored. I haven't heard any official, yes, we're looking at these people, or yes, we have Lex Luthor in the movie. So don't get too excited, but that's about what's going on right now, and the live event is definitely worth watching. It's not live anymore, but it's still playing. I'm pretty sure you can find it on yahoomovies.com. Check it out if you want to. It has a lot of good behind-the-scenes stuff. And, of course, Man of Steel is out. Steve and I are going to be doing some commentary you guys can listen to while you watch the film coming up. And we'll have other stuff covering the behind-the-scenes things and the making-ofs and all that stuff over the next few weeks. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And remember not only to keep your bat shark repellent handy, but to always look up in the sky.